Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Yes, it is. Welcome, everyone. I love you guys. I really do. I get unbelievable emails from listeners, great questions from people all over the country, over the various different topics that we cover here on the program. And over the past several weeks, getting a lot when it comes to discussing dollar, debt, inflation, and of course, China. Big one, too. I try, people, and I want you to bear with me. I try to get back to everybody as quickly as I possibly can. You have to understand that we're just inundated with stuff on a regular basis. And first and foremost, when people are calling up or they're sending me emails and it's in regards to their investments or something that they heard, I have to handle some of that stuff first. If I send you an email, and I don't mean to be short, you ask, some people have to put these long emails and these very, very intricate questions. What I do here on this program is I craft this show, which is 3 hours on a weekend, and my daily podcasts, which are Monday through Friday, a lot of it based upon your questions. And I will get to your questions. I may not be able to answer in detail on an email. It's very, very difficult for me to do that. So I try to get to everything here on the program, and I will. Great discussion as of late when it comes to China. I've had a very, very different take than the narrative, than the mainstream media out there for a long time. They want to basically frame everything as a battle, a war. How is this going to test Joe Biden? What is Joe Biden going to do different than Donald Trump? What is all that? What all this means? And do we need to be spending more money on the military? And is there going to be a conflict? People, take a couple steps back and study. Do some reading about the country. And again, you know what a really good place to start is? I'm going to recommend this. It's free. It's free. Download the audio book, Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Just download it. It's free. And listen to it. And if you don't like listening to audio, buy the book. It's not that expensive. And you're going to understand, this is, 2,700 years old text that is pertinent today. You know, I've been talking about China for a very, very long time here on this program and the mistakes that we made the nation over the years. We decided, and this is who we are here in this country. We're short-term gratification people. It's in everything that we do. It's everything that I push back against and fight against as a money manager. Not to pay attention to this quarter, this year. To pay attention 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Short-term thinking gets you hurt. Now, what we as a nation, again, you can take a look at it, CNBC. Right? Quarterly earnings, right? We focus in this, it's earnings season on CNBC. Who the hell cares what you did last quarter? And unfortunately, we've geared our society based upon that. And we made the conscious decision as a nation to offshore almost all of our supply lines. Come on, people. We've seen this for a very long period of time. How many people out there have had a difficult time over the past year getting a hold of stuff? Let me give you an example. I need a generator for my home. I live in an area where we get storms and the power can go out, there's trees everywhere. I need a generator. 12 weeks. I waited 2.5 months to get a door. Are you kidding me? Where does all this stuff come from? Not here. Not here. We don't make enough stuff here. We made that decision. Now, again, take a look at this from a larger perspective. Media, communist China, hammer and sickle, command government. You take a look at this big monster out there. Guys, this is not the Cold War. This is not the Soviet Union. China is trying to win over the world, not by force. You see China invading nations, right? They're rolling tanks into Czechoslovakia like the Russians did, or the Soviet Union did. No, they want to win by doing business. Again, this is some Sun Tzu, the art of war. Winning wars, winning battles, winning conflict without having to fire a shot. For decades, the Chinese knew that they couldn't compete with the United States. They knew that, so they got into bed with the United States. They got strong based upon the United States. And they've been biding their time. That fellow, what's his name? His last name is Yang, the diplomat that basically ripped us apart in Anchorage a few short weeks ago. We talked about it here on the program. You need to understand something, okay? He's a national hero. A hero to the Chinese people. That was a major shift in Chinese policy. The Chinese feel right now that guess what? Guess what? We're equals now. We are equals now. So we're no longer going to put up with your nonsense. Again, what can we do about this? What can we do about this? Nothing. Nothing as far as military is concerned. Does anybody actually think we're going to do a damn thing if China decides to roll into Taiwan? I don't think that they're going to do that. I don't. I think they're going to make Taiwan an offer they can't refuse. For crying out loud, we affirm as a nation since 1979 a one China policy. Yeah, you think about this, the logic behind this. We affirm a one China policy. We don't recognize Taiwan as a nation. Yet we provide for them all sorts of military aid and everything that goes along with that. Big shift has taken place. And I know you get these people out there. I got several emails from people talking about, what is it, that fella's name? He's been on TV. His name was Gordon Chain. I can't remember exactly. He put out a book. I'm not telling you, this book came out 2001. The Coming Collapse of China. Yeah, that was when China was 20th in the world in GDP. They're now second. And they're eventually going to be one. They're eventually going to surpass us here in the United States. And I've been saying this for a long time. Who cares? Look at the size of their population. I want to do business with them. And, it's going to be, kind of about pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps to some degree. And I was doing some reading over the course of this week, and I was taking a look at big government here in the United States. And we're going to get into some of the corporate virtue signaling a little bit later on in the program today. And going back to when it really started here in the United States, when, for years, been talking about our watchdog on Wall Street, axis of evil. big business, politicians, mainstream media, working hand in hand to basically serve their own needs, not the American public. Well, you can go back to basically the Reconstruction after the Civil War. You go back to that point in time is when our government started really getting in bed with big business. I found this fascinating. I was looking at some of the stuff this past week. You know, 1/10 of the state of Nebraska was given to Union Pacific. Do you know that they had right of way, basically rights to 24 miles on both sides of the train tracks? Do you understand that? I mean, this is when we really first started getting in bed with big business. What do you think goes on in China? Do you think we point things out that take place here? Do you really think it's much different here? I know, I'll get to the point. Well, there are not concentration camps in Uyghurs, but the Chinese look at it and say, yes, you did. You did it during World War II. For everything that we throw at them, they'll throw something back at us. And they'll teach it to their people. So you know what? The best thing to do right now is to be a better alternative. That's what won the Cold War. That's what won it. People, it was mutual assured destruction and we outspent them. They couldn't compete. Once people saw it as that we were the better alternative, momentum started going in that direction. It was over. You understand it right now that there is a large swath of the world that think that the Chinese way is better. And many of them are here in the United States. It wasn't that long ago we had Thomas Friedman from the New York Times. Oh, my God. I got back from China and their high-speed internet and their rail and their airports, and I landed at Newark Airport, and I felt like I landed in a third-world country. And he's not wrong. It does feel like, go to Newark Airport, it feels like a third-world country. And wouldn't it be awesome if, at this point in time, Obama was president, wouldn't it be awesome if Obama had that type of power? The Chinese look at our system. They look at our system, the two-party system. They're a one-party system. They look at our system, and this is a direct quote, as grains of sand on a sheet of paper. They think that their way is better. Okay, fine. You think that your way is better. We have to prove to them that our way is better. We have to prove to the world that our way is better. That's going to involve, obviously, some fundamental shift here in this country because we're as divided could be. There's a ton of money in the division right now. Corporate America doesn't mind the division. Media doesn't like the division. But we're not on the same page as a nation right now. So, again, am I bullish on China? Sure. Do I think that China, I mentioned this already, does China BS about its GDP numbers? Sure does. Just as much as it BS'd us in regards to the amount of people that died to coronavirus. I go right on down the list about all the BS that the Chinese government puts out, because I'm going to get that. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? We lie to our people all the time about inflation numbers. We lie to people all the time about our jobs numbers here. The difference is they're there, but they're not as great as you think that they are. Again, we have to learn to compete once again. Going to take a break. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Hey, I want to remind everybody, I get into great detail about this. I'm limited here on the weekend, the amount of time that I have. My podcast, we get into all of these topics. Sign up. Listen to our podcast. Download it. Go to our website, WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Go ahead and do that. We got a lot of other great stuff there as well. Our personal CFO program, which is just going like gangbusters. We're helping people all over their country with their money, with their taxes, with any legal problems that they have. It's all free right there at our website, WatchDogOnWallStreet.com, or give us a call, 471-5984.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street show, the place we take the liars, the crooks, the cheats out behind the woodshed and give them a bit of a beat down. I received big news this past week. News networks running with the Bernie Madoff died story. Yeah, you know what? And I said, why not revisit some of this here on the program? I can't remember the year. It might have been, 2004, 2003, 2000. I can't remember. We get so many people. They ask us questions about this investment program, that investment program. Is this money manager legit? Is this hedge fund legit? And people inquired me about Bernie Madoff, and I did a little bit of homework. I knew exactly where his office was there on 3rd Avenue. But really what set me back was a red flag. And as soon as there's any sort of red flag, boy, oh boy, my BS meter really starts going into overdrive, was the actual account statements. The account statements from Bernie Madoff and the information he's putting out were done on a dot matrix printer. You know the ones I'm talking about, the ones that made all those noise, back and forth. You know, that paper with the holes on the side and it would go through? Yeah, something was amiss here, and then I looked a little further and found out that trades that were executed on that sheet never traded at the price that they said that they did on the statement. So again, I'm like, this is a fugazi. The Donnie Brasco fugazi. And that's all it took for me. Now, there's other guys out there. Terry Markopoulos actually did a complete breakdown, mathematical breakdown on Bernie Madoff and his program and gave it to the SEC. He did it for free. I mean, he broke the entire thing down. He gave it to the SEC. Did the SEC do anything? No. And I'll get into that a little bit later. J.P. Morgan was his banker. J.P. Morgan paid a fine and walked away. You don't think that they knew? Of course they did. Well, you don't think that they can see all of this BS? Of course they did. But Jamie Dimon's a darling, and it's J.P. Morgan. And J.P. Morgan is too big to fail. Madoff they can take down. J.P. Morgan, the facilitator behind this, they're fine. They're fine. But, you look into this, and there's been stories that have come out after the fact, and how Bernie Madoff couldn't stand a lot of his clients because he thought that they were too demanding of certain levels of return. He kept a separate file. And people that he promised a certain level of return. And he had to manufacture by coming up with these fake trades so he could make all of this. Again, guaranteed return. I'm also reminded as well that a guy that I'm a huge fan of, I think I mentioned last week on the program about his book, I Love Capitalism, Ken Langone. And while he was falling apart during the financial crisis, he came up with this plan to save his Ponzi scheme with this brand new Madoff fund that was going to be super improved and better than his other Madoff funds. And only certain people are going to be invited. And he invites a guy, obviously a guy that has didn't have an ethical bypass at birth. that understands that you should do the right thing. Ken Langone couldn't understand why he was going to be able to get a higher level of return guaranteed than his long-term clients. He smelt a rat right away. The reality is people, no such thing as guaranteed returns, and there's a right way and there's a wrong way of doing things. You know, we get back, I wrote a column about this over 10 years ago, how he did it. We'll delve into that a little bit. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. Again, become a part of our family, the Watchdog on Wall Street family, our personal CFO program, all sorts of great things at our site. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Yes, you are. Yeah, listen, why not? We should review a little bit. I know I don't spend as much time as I used to on ripoffs and scams and all this stuff. I have a stack of them here. I do. I think maybe it's just because it's not good for good for my blood pressure. I got good blood pressure, but whenever I start talking about ripoffs and scams, it gets to me. It does. And maybe it's just because I'm more upset with myself. I'm limited, okay? Man's got to know his limitations. We try to get the word out as best we possibly can. I would have loved to be on more radio stations around the country, around 250 right now. I'd love for more people to listen to our podcast. But even people who listen to what we teach here on the program fall for the same crap again and again and again. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. The question that was out there, and how does this happen all the time? How do so many sophisticated people, right? Sophisticated people, sophisticated investors, how do they get duped? How did these scams go on for decades? I mean, Bernie Madoff started his scam in the 1970s. Do you know that he had two floors at his building in Manhattan? They call it the Lipstick Building because the building looks like a tube of lipstick. One floor was his legitimate business, and another entire floor was his scam operation. Here's some of the tricks that not only Madoff uses, but guys like Jordan Belfort and the old Boiler Room guys would use, and the con artists of today, many of these hedge funds out there and other crap. First and foremost, it's the scarcity sale. You give the illusion of exclusivity. Not just anyone can be a part of this deal. Good marketing people understand that by utilizing the illusion of scarcity, guess what? You can hasten demand. This false scarcity encourages people to go out there and buy sooner and perhaps to buy more than normal. When this strategy is applied to investment products, it also gives the illusion of an above-average return. Big brokerage firms and boiler room operators used this tactic back in the 1980s, 1990s to drive up the price of IPOs and other pump-and-dump schemes. All they did was they cut back on your IPO allocation at that time and then told you to buy in at the aftermarket, driving the prices up even higher. In Madoff's case, and like many hedge funds out there as well, being chosen, it's like you got to be chosen to be a part of Madoff's plan. It's like being in the in crowd in high school. And it's like clique-like behavior. There was a Wall Street Journal article back at the time when this thing broke, and quotes one investor. If you were eating lunch at the club or golfing, everyone was talking about how Madoff was making them all this money. One of the largest clusters of Madoff victims was in Florida. Madoff relied, network of friends, family. He had guys out there that, that would basically go around these clubs and talk him up. Yeah. These little people out there, they would get commissions for harvesting investors. Anyway, scarcity sale works. The other one, too, you see this all the time. And again, this is part of what CNBC does as well, is they turn these people, these money managers, into these icons of brilliance. And it's such a joke. It's such a racket. Yeah, honestly, you take a look at the long-term performance of Warren Buffett and what he has done on average. It is a reasonable rate of return. Yeah, there were some hedge fund guys back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, who, yes, relied upon insider information like Nancy Pelosi can do today because she's a member of Congress to show outsized returns. That has gone away. We discussed that last week on the program. This con out there that these people are brilliant is patently absurd. How is it that we kick all their buttocks year in, year out? I don't claim to be brilliant. Anyway, we'll take a quick break. Again, I'm going to delve into this a little bit further. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. Again, become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family, our podcast, our personal CFO program, all sorts of great stuff. Watchdog on wallstreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984. We'll be back.
You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Yes, it's the inherent domain of people who know more than we do. Yep. This talk about the brilliance con out there, the aura of brilliance that can placate regulators. I see this all the time. SEC, they had the goods on Madoff. But no. He's just too smart. He's too bright. He knows all the right politicians. He gives to the right charities. It couldn't be him. Right. Oh, man. And, of course, affinity fraud, something we've talked about, happens all the time. Since I am like you and believe like you, you can believe in me and what I say. Madoff happened to be heavily involved in the Jewish community. He was a major contributor to many charities, served on the board of directors of many as well. And these are the same circles that his clients came from. Same circles politicians hang out in. The people that are supposed to be policing him. That same crowd as well. And again, there's political cover. You make the right donations to the right and most connected politicians. You attend the fundraisers and get your clients to do so as well. That's big, too. You get your clients to donate as well. The Securities and Exchange Commission is a part of the executive branch of government. Okay? And it very much a part of the Wall Street, Washington, D.C. power play that takes place. When the SEC would call up and, want to look into Madoff, he would rip them a new one. Or he would get Frank Lautenberg or Chuck Schumer on the phone saying, hey, get these people off my back. Anyway, listen, people, I've worked very, very hard over the years to try to get this across, try to explain to you how this works. And time and time again, I get emails, I get phone calls. I should have listened to you, Chris. I should have listened to you. Some people I'll never hear from them again because they're embarrassed based upon what happens. Don't be. We do what we can to try to get people, when they get ripped off, scam, get their money back. But the reality of the situation is there's really not much you can do. Now, we got a new SEC director, this Gary Gensler guy that's coming into the SEC. Do you know what he's tasked with? You know what his number one, his priority one right now? It's not policing guys like Madoff or going after investment cons and frauds. I kid you not. It's climate change. It's social issues, making sure board of directors are diverse enough. And they actually want to force companies to put out their carbon footprint nonsense in their annual report. Crap like this. And we've described this for a while, too. People get this false sense of security out there with the SEC and FINRA. They come in after the fact, okay? You want the information first. You want to know who the good guys are and the bad guys. You come here, okay? The SEC, FINRA, they come in and they clean up afterward and they lay out some fines. They're like a CSI group. There's nothing preventative about them at all. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com, WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Become a part of our family. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Yeah, sure. Welcome back, everybody. I wanted to talk about this too because, again, one thing we're damn good at is seeing through the BS, and yeah, it takes a while. I could sum up my career as basically wading through BS. I could be on that Mike Rowe show, Dirty Jobs, because that's what we deal with. That's who we're dealing with. Trying to dispel all the ridiculous narratives out there. I got a kick out of this past week. All these, you see the CEOs holding a Zoom meeting. 100 CEOs on a Zoom meeting here talking about, the right to people to vote and have access to vote. Anybody with two brain cells to rub together can see right through this. See this for what it is, a big pile of BS. You know, one of my, I also, the movie Wall Street, I go to the movie Wall Street because there's certain characters in that movie that I just really resonated with me. The Hal Holbrook character, the late Hal Holbrook, he had a great character. Lou Manheim talked about some of the things. He was almost like a conscience in that movie. And then there was Bud Fox's father, Carl Fox, played by Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen was nothing more than a mechanic. He was a mechanic. He wasn't big doings. He worked on an airline, fixing planes, keeping the planes in the sky, as he said in the movie. But he could see through the BS. There's a meeting that Gordon Gekko's holding with his son about what they're going to do with the airline. And he saw right through it all. This is what you have to do in life, people. Yeah, I like to trust people. I do. But I've gotten to the point that I have to verify. I have to verify. So do you. Just because this person is wearing a nice suit and they sound all nice and eloquent on CNBC, these businesses out there are full of it. Most of these CEOs out there are full of it. And I'll tell you right now, 95% of them I've got zero respect for. They didn't build those companies. They weaseled their way to the top over the years, basically, climbing ladders, stepping on people's toes, gouging eyeballs. They didn't invent the company. They just a manager. That's all. Like I said, you could basically just, you look at a guy like Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is a pretty brilliant guy. He's a tyrant. Amazon is a bit of a tyrannical company, but you have to at least respect it because he built it. He built it. He created things. I have respect for entrepreneurs. I'm sorry, I don't have respect for managers. I don't. I've been watching this stuff over the years here on the program. You get McKinsey, you get some consulting group in there that can talk CEOs along with Wall Street into buying up ridiculous companies. And you see this happen all the time. And these guys get rich. You can get very wealthy in this country, in corporate America, if you had an ethical bypass at birth and you probably went to an Ivy League school. You can work your way to the top and you can be completely useless. One of the reasons why I like sports. Either you're good or you're not. And everybody can see. Corporate America, they'll cover for you for crying out loud. How Jeff Immel over at General Electric. Those god-awful management over the years. This is something that you have to pay attention to. Again, right now, all these businesses signing up. Why? It's all cover your buttocks. Also, want to talk a little bit, again, I know we've discussed this for a while here on the phone. We're going to continue to do so. I guess a good way for me to explain this when it comes to inflation, I try to explain inflation as best I possibly can. Every night when you go to bed, imagine there were little, this is coming from South Park. They had an episode where there was these things called underwear gnomes that would sneak in and steal people's underpants out of their drawers at night. Imagine that there was little gnomes that would go into your wallet, go into your bank account, now in modern, log on, and take money, little bit of money every night out of your account. That's inflation. That is a tax. But again, if you read the headlines today, you take a look at the numbers. Oh, inflation's, perking up a little bit out there. Perking up a little bit? It's been with us for a while. It is running out of control. I like this story, Wall Street Journal. Inflation arrives. Is it transitory? We're being told by the Janet Yellens of the world, these people out there that, this has more to do with supply chain problems than anything else. Are you out of your mind? Here's another Wall Street Journal. With economy poised for best growth since 1983, inflation lurks. Inflation lurks? Was it like a great white shark at the bottom that's into full consideration when it comes to your planning, when it comes to your life preparation with money and understanding that these inflation gnomes are stealing your money every single night when you go to sleep. And there's nothing you can do about it. Can't get it exterminated. Nothing you can do about it. This is the terrain right now. You want to subscribe to the BS that's being pushed on you by the powers that be, the media, the Janet Yellens of the world, the Jay Powells of the world? Have at it. We deal with reality here on the program. And at Markowski Investments. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Allow me to amaze thee. They say I'm ugly, but it just don't faze me. I'm still getting in the girls' pants, and I even got my own dance.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the watchdog on Wall Street.
All right, just get warmed up here on the program. Much we have to go over on the show. We're going to get into, we're going to get into taxes and tax planning and Janet Yellen and cartels and all sorts of good stuff here. But I want to remind everybody again, one of the things that we work really, really hard at here on the program at Markowski Investments is our personal CFO program. And I invite each and every one of you to become a part. Again, it handles everything. It's basically a family office for everyone. When people think of a family office and they think of dealing with a professional money manager and staff, it's legal, it's taxes, it's all these things. We provide this for everyone. You do not need to have a $10 million account to work with us. This is what differentiates us from everybody else that's out there. Again, I don't believe in putting up a velvet rope outside my firm. I've told this story in the past. The various different management consultants, the McKinsey types, would give speeches. I'd have to go to these back in the day. I thought I had to go. That's why I stopped going. These industry conferences. I get invited all the time. Hey, big industry conference, and Schwab's got one, and Pershing's got one, and TD's got one on, the business, and you should go there. Nah. Because you'd sit at these things, and you'd have these brilliant management consultants that would come out there and tell everybody to fire clients. Oh, yeah, if you're a client, take all your smallest clients and get rid of them, and just focus like a laser beam on your really, really rich clients. They actually say this out loud and without missing a beat. And I just never really could get my arms around that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That widow over there with the two kids that's trying to put money away. Oh yeah, I should get rid of her. Yeah, I should get rid of her. That's the right thing to do. But again, this is the industry. This is who you're dealing with. It's wrong. But anyway, our personal CFO program, what it's about figuring out all the nonsense, okay? How to navigate the various different storms, financial storms that are going to occur, the corrections that are going to occur, and the volatility. I talk about this a little bit earlier on in the program. We're talking about China and long-term thinking. I expect bad stuff to happen because it does. Bad things are going to happen. It's how you go about dealing with these bad things and about twisting them and turning them into opportunities. One of the things we try to get across. But anyway, our personal CFO program, sign up for it at watchdogonwallstreet.com, or you can give us a call, 800-471-5984. Okay, I have to talk about this to a little bit greater degree. I know we've been discussing it here on the program. I don't think we fully getting our arms around this. Talked about China at the beginning of the program and how we need to compete. Janet Yellen is trying to assemble a bunch of countries out there and form a cartel. That's right. Janet Yellen wants to form a cartel. You remember the oil cartels, right? Oh, we got the oil cartels back from the 70s, and they show up and they're wearing their turbans, and they're going to Vienna or Zurich, and they're going to decide what the price of oil is going to be. These powers that be, how much we're going to pump out there, and we can control the price of oil. They had a lot of power. Well, Well, Janet Yellen's trying to form a cartel, too. She's trying to get the European Union on board and try to say, you know what? And this is the funny thing, is how these politicians frame this, how they come up with little phrases out there. The race to the bottom is what they call it. Da, 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 da! The race to the bottom. We have to stop this race to the bottom when it comes to corporate taxes. What? Again, this defies any sort of logic and reason. We have no problem with our race to the bottom when we want to offshore manufacturing so we can get a $2 T-shirt rather than a $7 T-shirt. But no, when it comes to the government and their take, no, we're not going to compete there. We're going to form a cartel, and we're going to all agree not to charge anything lower than X. Whether it be 21%, 25%, 28%. Hey, get a cartel to charge whatever they want. Again, I am going to pretend that I am Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping. And I'm going to say, really? Let's lower our corporate taxes and tell businesses to move here. Because that's what they're going to do. Not to mention, if I was all of a sudden, again, Mario Draghi wouldn't do this because he's too entrenched with the powers that be. If I was running Italy or Greece or Portugal, Spain, some of these Mediterranean countries, I'd say, hey, you know what? No, we're not going to participate in your tax cartel. We're going to lower our taxes, and we're going to make it attractive for people to move businesses here. That makes sense. What we have taken place here today, it's one of the most, this is the United States of America trying to put together a cartel. You know, I described it this past week. The Soviet Union had Germany put a wall up, right, between East and West Germany, Berlin Wall. Berlin Wall goes up. Boom. Okay. Why? Was the Berlin Wall there to keep the West Germans from invading East Germany? No. The wall was there to keep the East Germans in. The Soviet Union and its entire area, they had where's your papers? You couldn't leave. They had walls that they put up everywhere, fences, barbed wire put up everywhere to keep people in. That is essentially what we're getting today from our leadership. No, you can't leave. Again, this all goes back. And again, I wrote extensively about this. We talked about this here on the program. During the Obama administration, companies all of a sudden saying, you know what, this is ridiculous. We are going to move our business to Dublin. We're going to move our business to the Bahamas. We're going to move our business wherever it may be. And they did. And they did it via this vehicle called a tax inversion. A tax inversion was simply a smaller entity in this foreign country purchasing a larger entity. And guess what? It's going to happen again. Again, who knows? I mean, they may actually put walls up and do something to tax the hell out of people. But if that's the case, there's going to be a rush to the exits, and companies will go. There are alternatives out there. You know, we play this game all the time here in this country when it comes to taxes and the politics of envy and division. And, we go back to, I said it was a really big point in history, in my point, when Barack Obama, during a debate, said that he was not interested in raising taxes due to increased revenue, and he was talking about the capital gains tax. He was doing it due to fairness. This politics of envy. Envy is a really, it's a bad sin. It really is. And again, you see this happen all the time with people making poor decisions. Oh, wow, my neighbor's got this size boat. Well, you know what? I've got to have that. Looking at other people's pockets, being envious of others. This politics of envy and division. And I've been talking about this in terms of taxes for a very long time. And I've called for tax reform here in this country. The tax code, they really wanted to fix taxes. They get rid of the tax code. And the tax code would be on a page and a half, and it would be simple, and there would be no handouts and giveaways and cutouts and this and that. You understand the tax credits you can get from just buying stuff, green stuff? It's nonsensical. It really is. I wrote a piece. This is, my Lord, it's almost 20 years ago. 20 years ago. From time to time, I call it back up here on the program. It's the truth about taxes and taxing people and what happens. And it's a bit of a study in regards to, I guess, human nature. You know what? I'll take a look. We'll take a break right here. We get back from the break. I'm going to get into this, talk about this a little bit. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Again, become a part of our family. Personal CFO program, podcast, account repair kit, our newsletter, which is coming out shortly. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984. That's 800-471-5984.
Smoking into the dope, which I know coke. You ask me how do I do it, I cope. My only addiction has to do with a female species.
Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Yeah, I put this column out, yes, February of 2003, and I'm trying to remember. It must have been surrounding Bush tax cuts or whatever it may be. It was probably a debate that was going on at that point in time. The Bush tax cuts that eventually expired. And basically what we try to do is try to put cutting taxes into, I guess, terms that everybody can understand. Now, we did this. Again, I love restaurants. I do. I like going out to eat. I'm a food guy, without a doubt. And we'll do this in terms of a dinner. How does that sound? A nightly dinner. So we're going to say that 10 people, 10 men go out for dinner every night. And for argument purposes, again, this is 2003. If I had to redo this bill today, it would be a lot different with all the inflation we've had to deal with. But anyway, neither here nor there. The bill comes to $100 every night. They got a prefix deal, $10 a head with the owner. Okay? So if we were to pay this bill, this $100 bill nightly, and this is, again, 2003, in the same way that we pay our taxes, if we have progressive bill paying, it goes something like this. The first 4 men pay nothing. The 5th pays $1. The 6th pays $3. The 7th, $7. The 8th, $12. The 9th, $18. And the 10th man, the richest of them all, would pay $59. So that's what they did. Night in, night out, 10 men eat dinner at the restaurant, and they're happy they deal with the arrangement. Until one day, the owner throws them a curve. It's not really a curve. Can't even call it that. He gives them, say, hey, you know what? You guys are great customers. You come in every single night. I am going to reduce the cost of your bill by $20. So now dinner for the 10 costs $80 a night. Wow, what a great deal. But they still wanted to pay their bill the way that we pay our taxes. So, again, the first 4 men were unaffected. They would still eat for free. But what about the other 6 paying customers? How could they, you know how they use this phraseology, windfall, right? How would they divvy up the $20 windfall so everybody could get his what? His what? His fair share. So the 6 men, they come to the realization that $20 divided by 6 is $3.33. But if they subtracted that from everybody's share, then the 5th man and the 6th man would end up being paid to eat their meal. So the restaurant owner, hey, listen, he decided to figure it out for them, and he proceeded to work out the amounts that each should pay. So now the 5th man, remember the 5th man was paying $1, he's paying nothing. The 6th man is paying 2 rather than 3. The 7th man is paying 5 rather than 7. The 8th is paying 9 rather than 12. And the 10th man is paying 52 rather than 59. Each person at that table was better off than they were before. The first 4 continued to eat for free, right? They weren't really better off, but everybody else that was actually paying was better off. But what happened outside the restaurant after this is, again, what happens in our society, happens in the media, happens with politicians every day. The men start looking at one another, start comparing their savings, start being envious. I only got $1 out of the 20, said the 6th man. And he points to the 10th man. He got 7. Yeah, that's right, said the 5th man. I only saved $1 too. It's unfair that he got 7 times more than me. That's true, shouted the 7th man. Why should he get 7 when I only got 2? The wealthy get all the breaks. They get all the breaks. And then, of course, you've got the first 4 men who never paid a dime. And they yell out in unison, we don't get anything at all. This system exploits the poor. Then the 9 men surrounded the 10th man and beat him up. And guess what? Next night, 10th man didn't come out to dinner, and they came to the realization when the bill came that they were $52 short. That, my friends, is just kind of how our system works, how we operate here in this country when it comes to taxes, how we utilize envy, how we pit people against one another. It's a problem, don't you think? Anyway, moving on. I have to talk about this in terms of, we talked about our personal CFO program and managing risk. Getting a lot of great questions, a lot of great emails from people talking about what about all this debt and all this money printing? And then you're also getting questions about, gee whiz, you see what it's like out there, the amount of people borrowing money to buy stocks, the margin out there, the type of leverage that's out there. How did that guy from that hedge fund lever himself up to $100 billion? People, I'm not going to lie to you. Never do. Never would. There's a lot of risk out there. I'm perpetually nervous. I'm perpetually looking out for things. One thing we don't ignore is the volcano. Okay? Never ignore the volcano, which is interesting because you had the volcano that just erupted in St. Vincent. And again, they were monitoring the volcano. They saw that the pressure was building up. And hey, listen, they saw it was happening. They evacuated. Well, they evacuated people that actually had their COVID shot. Again, I thought that was ridiculous, but that's beside the point. You can watch for these things. It's never, ever good to ignore a volcano. I wrote a column about it, and this is going back talking about the financial crisis. And I put it in terms of one of my favorite places in the world there in Greece, Santorini. I'll share that with you when we get back, and we'll talk about what we're looking at and how we're going to go about dealing with this leverage and debt and volcano in your portfolio as we move forward. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We shall return.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. This is the watchdog on Wall Street.
Out of nowhere, little Rocky theme song here. And we're having my kids and I were putting together the gym. We got a garage gym now. We moved and put the rubber floors down this week, and they're decorating the walls. We got to, waiting for the heavy bag to come in, but they got the Mike Tyson poster up there that I love, saying everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, and getting some Rocky stuff up there as well. But anyway, I digress. Welcome back. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. We're talking about the volcano that's always out there, and we monitor this. One of the I mentioned, I wrote about this, the financial crisis. There was a society, a culture that lived on this island, one of the most beautiful places in the world, Santorini. Santorini didn't always look like Santorini does today. You look out into the waters like this crescent-shaped island with this volcano sitting out there in the water. That volcano blew apart the entire island. And some people argue that it was the largest volcanic explosion in known history. The funny thing is, the people there, they didn't, they saw the rumblings and the grumblings and what was taking place. And obviously they don't have the scientific equipment that we have today to monitor this, but they ignored it. Again, the civilization that lived on that island was one of the wealthiest, most advanced civilizations in the world at that time. Again, why? I don't want to pay attention to this. I don't want to know. Out of mind. I know that this thing is erupting a little bit over here. People didn't leave. Nobody left. Nobody left, and they all died. They all died. There's actually no sign anywhere in the world of anybody leaving that island. It was Santorini now. Then. Nobody leaving and taking anything with them. The entire thing blown to bits. Listen, we monitor these things like we're monitoring a volcano. And we take advantage. I'll be honest with you, we do what's right. I take advantage of these things. I remember during the financial crisis, it's vulture investors. Vulture investors. Wow, because things have come down and we see value, we're buying them. I remember we were buying exchange-traded funds, closed-end funds that were trading at 70, 80% discounts to their entire net asset value, paying 12, 15% dividends. It was insane. So you take advantage of those situations. We took advantage of what happened last March. People have been listening to this program now for, you're a new listener, for a little over a year. What were we telling you back then? This is how you go about dealing with things. And I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Do I think that a lot of the financial blow-ups that we see, am I starting to think that some of this stuff is by design? Financial destruction by design? Yeah, I do. You do. Especially now. Especially now, when you have omnipotent companies like these big banks, what do they care? What do they care. What does J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, if the market, let's say, tanks, say we got a major, let's say we duplicate the sell-off that we had in 87. We have a 20% drop. What, you think it's going to bother them in the slightest? No, their trading profits will go up. They have unlimited access to capital. They'll be able to step in and buy when things are cheap. When people are losing their head, they will take advantage. We do the same thing. We do the same thing. This is what happens when people lose a ton of money, is when they overreact to certain situations, rather than seeing the terrain, the reality for what it is. Keeping your head is something that you have to do. This is how we win, okay? It's how we win. You need to be smart. You cannot follow narratives. That is the worst thing you can do. Again, what did the big firms say? They don't care. They don't care. I've laid this all out for you. They'll gladly buy your high-quality companies when you're freaking out and the stock is tanking at a lower level. They'll be happy. I'll take that off your hands. Sure. You need to understand, right? It's a stock market. For every seller, there has to be a buyer. For every buyer, there has to be a seller. This is how they win, and it's how we win. And you're not going to get this from the major investment houses out there. That's not what their brokers are designed to do. Let's be honest here, okay? These guys are order takers. They're not business owners. Do you understand? They're not business owners. They're employees. You know, I've got to take a quick break. I'm looking at the time right now. I'll get a little bit further into this when we get back. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
You can't replace experience. You can't. It's invaluable. I've been giving advice to a lot of our clients and parents and people I know and listeners of this program around the country about their kids and college, and they don't like the situation over the past year and the online classes. And my suggestion, we said here on the program, is hold off. Hold off. Tell your kid to go out and get himself a job. Get herself a job out there. Gain some experience. And it doesn't matter what job. It doesn't matter if it's construction. It doesn't matter if it's in food service. But get some life experience. Certain professions out there, certain fields out there, you need to actually know what the hell you're doing. Meaning you actually should have done it in life. Now, you get a lot of these overeducated fools on Wall Street, these Ivy League types, and they took all of the classes. Yet they never flipped a burger in their entire life. They never ran a business, operated a business in their entire lives. Yet they're telling you which businesses are good or bad. They don't even know how to look at these things and evaluate them. I get a guy that'll come in and he'll have a PowerPoint presentation and a stack of documents and going over the numbers of a certain company, and it will tell me how awesome this company is or whatever it may be. This is back in my days, investment banking, analytical work. And I'll take a look at the company in 2 seconds and see what they do and take a look at the market and say it's going to fail. I don't care what you and your spreadsheet, your computer program, and all the BS that they taught you, the useless information they taught you at college. I know better. And we turn out to be right. And again, this is one of these fields out there. You want to work with somebody And when you're hiring someone, what have they done? What was their background? Have they had any other jobs? What is their experience out there? Example on a side note. My son, now my eldest son, he's accomplished at his sport. He's going to college on an athletic scholarship, and all that's. He's getting contacted by parents of younger kids to train their kids. Why? Not because he read how to play his sport in a book. It's because he actually did it and is good at it. That's all I'm saying. Okay? If that makes sense to everybody out there. Anyway, I have to bring this up as well. A couple stories this past week talking about schools. And there was one in that again, it's a big thing with us here on the program, education and the idea that we need to spend more and more and more. Part of the latest Biden infrastructure plan is more money for schools and pre-K. I'm going to give everybody a breakdown. This is it's a Watchdog on Wall Street reality check. We're going to tell you the truth about schools when we get back. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We shall return.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
I should have told John, I'm a producer, before. I just thought of the song. I was at early 1980s, late 70s, early 80s, a Gap band. You dropped the bomb on me. That's what we do. Truth bombs here at the Watchdog on Wall Street show. And again, the things that we talk about here on the program, sometimes they are difficult to swallow. You have a large swath of the population nowadays that is completely unwilling to listen. They have their ideas in their head, and rather being able to debate in any sort of Socratic fashion, they treat their ideas much like a terrorist would, a radical would, a cult member would. And you have members out there, I call it the dumb donkey cult, and you also have members of the dumb elephant cult. Isn't it better to take a couple steps back and just listen and maybe learn? Anyway, here is a truth bomb. Truth bomb when it comes to education. I live in a school district. I live in a school district. I live in this neighborhood. One of the reasons why we moved here is the schools are, quote, end quote, excellent. Blue ribbon public schools, phenomenal public schools. We also have phenomenal Catholic schools around here, too. Let me tell you a little story. And again, I mentioned this on the podcast this past week. My daughter is very anal. She's a big-time go-getter and very competitive when it comes to her grades. And she's taken AP World, Global. And her teacher is confusing her in this preparation for the AP exam. And I told my kids, I said, hey, listen, if you ever have any issue, you come, we will get your tutor. I'll get you all the help you need. If I can't help you, you want to get a tutor, we'll go ahead and we'll do that. Education is obviously a priority in our house. So she gets this tutor, and the tutor's like, the teacher's doing a horrible job. Again, this is this great school out there. People, a school is a school. A school is a school. And every single school all across the country, there are going to be excellent educators, excellent teachers, and there are going to be ones that are not. It's just that simple. I made this point years ago. If you could get an all-star team of the best teachers, the best educators in the entire country, and you were to put them in a school, you were to put them into a troubled school district. Let's say like the one we talked about a couple weeks ago in Baltimore, where the kid is in the top third of his class and he's only passed one class. I think it was gym since he's been there. And you were to put those all-star team of educators and teachers at that school in Baltimore. Guess what? You're not going to see any improvement. You're not going to see any improvement. The difference between schools is the families. This is the reality. It's the parents, okay? It is not the job of the school to educate your kids. It's your job. School's a tool. It's a tool that can help you to educate your kids. But the reason why our school district is our school district, quite frankly, is the parents care. The kids care. The parents care. The kids are going to care. That's a truth bomb. That's a reality. You could throw all the money in the entire world at the worst school district. Throwing billions of dollars around. Throw $1 billion at that school in Baltimore. See what happens. If the parents don't care, the kids are not going to care. I discussed this here on the program. Our school district is good. Why? Parental privilege. And I'll say it again. Parental privilege. Certain kids are privileged. And it has nothing to do with skin color. Okay? Nothing to do with skin color. They are privileged because their parents care. And will do everything and anything to get their kids an education because they feel it's important. I have clients who are educators, who are teachers in certain school districts. This is a fact. They're teachers in certain school districts that are told by the administration, by the principals, you're dealing with kids where the part of the culture, the parents don't give a darn about school. It's not that important to them. Oh, you mean to tell me I call the parents up, they're not going to give a damn? You don't think the kids know that? Good luck. Good luck. Oh, my God. Yeah, it was some of the scariest things ever in my entire life. God forbid a school teacher ever had to call my house about my behavior or my work ethic in class. Oh, my God. I didn't want to. It gives me chills thinking about it right now. What would happen to me if I was disrespectful, if I wasn't doing my work? My parents would have killed me. That's the difference. So you guys out there, you either think that, money is the answer. It's not. It's not. If money were the answer, it'd be easy. All these problems would have been solved because that's all we do is throw more and more and more and more and more money at all of these problems and nothing gets fixed. Anyway, quickly on this one other story, I wanted to point this out as well. I don't know if you saw this. Again, there was a lot of fanfare during the election. What's going to happen in Alabama with the Amazon workers and whether or not they're going to unionize, and AOC and Bernie Sanders all getting involved. Guess what? The Amazon workers, who are getting paid well above the $15 minimum wage, told the union to take a hike. And maybe they saw that Boston Dynamics robot that was moving 800 packages a minute and said, you know what? I want to keep my job. Thanks. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street.